Tonight is next with the very latest.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Reporting tonight from Washington.
Good evening. What a day this has been.
611 resolved that William Jefferson Clinton, President of the United States, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors.
The House of Representatives debates impeachment. There is no doubt that's how it will end. The president tries for business as usual, but he must surely wonder what his attack against Iraq will mean in the long run, not to mention what his own long-term future now holds. In Iraq, people have one eye on the sky, waiting for the U.S. to bomb again, and one eye on the bride. The war notwithstanding, some Iraqis decided this was the time to get married. And that may have been one of the only circumstances today which was not marked by ill will towards someone else, that wedding. So let's start in Congress tonight. ABC's Linda Douglas is on Capitol Hill. Linda, a status report, if you would.
Well, Peter, all day long, the members of both parties quoted Abraham Lincoln and the Bible and the Declaration of Independence as they prepared to cast what may be the most important vote of their careers. The House chamber fell silent as Judiciary Committee Chairman Henry Hyde rose to accuse President Clinton of high crimes and misdemeanors.
The people's trust has been betrayed. The nation's chief executive has shown himself unwilling or incapable of enforcing its laws, for he has corrupted the rule of law.
Democrats warned that impeaching this president will tear the country apart.
We're about to inflict permanent damage on our Constitution, on our president, on the nation, and ourselves.
Back and forth they went, Republican versus Democrat, profoundly divided on the seriousness of Mr. Clinton's conduct.
The president is our chief law enforcement officer and our chief magistrate. When he lies under oath, he undermines the integrity of our judicial system and threatens the rights and liberties of every one of us.
What have we become when we impeach a president over an extramarital affair and the lies to conceal it?
I will vote for impeachment, not because the president has human frailties, but because he has committed perjury repeatedly and willfully.
Democrats charge that today is the culmination of a prolonged partisan effort to get Mr. Clinton.
I am greatly disappointed in the raw, unmasked, unbridled hatred and meanness that drives this impeachment coup d'etat.
Republicans suggested Democrats were simply throwing up a smokescreen.
No speaker really has refuted the facts. The facts are that the president did not tell the truth under oath.
Democrats pounded Republicans for holding this vote when American forces are in harm's way.
The majority may well have blood on its hands by starting this proceeding today.
But Republicans brushed that off, too.
That our military fighting men want the Congress to carry on their constitutional responsibility every day.
As the debate raged on, members drifted away, leaving the chamber half empty. Through it all was the question of history. What does this vote portend for the future?
Every future president, Democrat or Republican, will be subject to harassment by his political enemies who can credibly threaten impeachment for the slightest misconduct.
Our republic has weathered 2 centuries, a civil war, but it cannot weather corruption of its basic tenet, the oath of office.
Tomorrow they will vote, and Mr. Clinton is expected to lose. All but a handful of Democrats are expected to vote against impeachment. But today, 2 of them, Peter, said that if Mr. Clinton is impeached, he should resign.
Thank you, Linda. There's no stopping it now, as you have made very clear. This final vote will begin tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern Time here in Washington in the House of Representatives, and we will be here to cover it live. Mr. Clinton stands to be the only president other than Andrew Johnson in 1868 to be impeached, whatever a burden it is to him. And to Mrs. Clinton, today the White House has certainly been wearing a brave face. ABC's Sam Donaldson is there tonight. Sam.
Peter, it's really strange here today. The House is moving toward taking this grave step, and the man against whom they're moving wants it known that he isn't paying any attention, doing just fine, thank you, as he goes about business as usual. Now that's both amazing and a little hard to believe. At noon, the president met with the Chancellor of Austria and the President of the European Commission. They found him smiling and upbeat as they gave him a sample of the new Eurodollar. Later in the day, the president attended White House meetings with his budget team and his aides commission. Press Secretary Joe Lockhart knew he would have to explain this remarkably upbeat presidential mood.
So I asked him to account for the fact that it was very good. And he told me, for one thing, that he got 7 hours of sleep last night.
Lockhart tried his hand at criticizing Republicans who've called for the president's resignation, saying they were pursuing a cynical strategy to remove the president. But that didn't seem to get anywhere. And in a radio interview, Vice President Gore raised his voice on behalf of the president.
I am fighting mad about the way they are carrying out this impeachment matter.
Like her husband, Mrs. Clinton also went about normal business today, attending a photo opportunity to warn about the perils of drunk driving. And about her husband?
Well, I think, the vast majority of Americans share my approval and pride in the job that the president's been doing for our country.
This strange disconnect seen here today probably comes from the fact that people here acknowledge the battle in the House is lost. So what next? Officials insist the president will not resign, although they understand there'll be more and more calls for his resignation. They say he will fight vigorously to defend himself in the Senate. Still, Peter, their best hope here, they acknowledge, is to be able to cut a deal on censure soon. The idea that the Senate could never convict is an idea that no longer can be taken for granted.
Very interesting point you make, Sam. Thanks very much. In a moment, we'll get some insight on that thought, the rest of the day, the mood here, which is very strange, from our political analysts.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Theraflu.
Teddy Gibbs can't let a sore throat stop him. Even when it feels this raw, he toughs it out through the hacking cough, the aches, the fever. But when the job is done, he's desperate for fast, powerful Theraflu relief. With the first sip of that soothing lemony hot liquid, he feels comfort instantly. Soon his throat feels calmed, his cough quieted. Maximum strength Theraflu, now in new cherry sore throat and cough. Instant comfort, powerful relief.
That the party of the first part did not intend for the party of the second.
I should have used Preparation H.
If you had, you wouldn't be suffering now. Preparation H helps stop itch and further irritation with a soothing layer of protection.
I should have used Preparation H.
Stops itch, stops irritation.
At this time of year, you never know what the weather will turn into next. Good thing there's a Chevy Make Your Money Count year-end event. Because right now, you can get a Chevy Blazer. The sport utility that offers a little security in an insecure world. And for a limited time, get low 0.9% APR financing or big cash back. You'll find great deals on other Chevy cars and trucks too. Take control of the elements. At your Chevy dealers, Make Your Money Count year-end event. It's the season for you.
There's quite a lot to try to digest tonight on the Impeachment Watch, and so we are joined again by our analysts, Cokie Roberts, Bill Kristol, and George Stephanopoulos. I want to go first to George Stephanopoulos. George, you've listened to a lot of this debate today. Do you pick out highlights and lowlights?
Well, I think the highlight was actually what you showed at the top of the news, Peter, simply seeing the House reading clerk read out the articles of impeachment against the President of the United States, that he betrayed his trust to the American people. You know, usually it is a rule on the House floor that you're not even allowed to have personal criticism of the President. You heard a lot today, and I think watching it through the day, the debate seemed to deteriorate over the course of the day.
No stopping it.
I don't think so, there's an awful lot of ugliness, and I think one of the big questions we're going to come away with when we look at this is, how could a country that's so healthy have a political system that seems so diseased at this time on both sides of the aisle?
Let me go to Bill Kristol, who's in the Washington Bureau as well. Bill, it may be a little obvious question, but what do you think's actually been accomplished today?
Well, the House has debated in an orderly and I think reasonably dignified way the impeachment of the President of the United States. And I think a lot of people looking at least part of the debate might think this is, after all, the American constitutional system at work. The President is going to be impeached, as you said, tomorrow. And I do think the question that people in Washington are turning their minds to already is, Peter, you said there's no stopping it now, meaning there's no stopping impeachment now. But what happens after impeachment?
In fact, Sorry, I was going to say Sam brought that up right away, so let me get a quick comment from you about what you think is going to happen in the Senate.
I think it is less likely than it seemed to everyone just a week or two ago that there'll be a quick deal, no trial, easy censure. People are now talking seriously about a Senate trial, and people have an open mind about what would happen in such a trial.
Let me go to Cokie Roberts, because, Cokie, in fact, some of what we are hearing today is that the president's victory in the Senate, long assumed, could no longer be taken for granted. Is that momentum at work?
That's partly momentum at work. It's partly just understanding the nature of the beast, that when something starts in the Senate, that you're never quite sure how it's going to come out in the Senate. Now, 67 votes is a lot of votes, and it is two-thirds of the Senate, of course, being required to convict. But there is an uncertainty that nobody wants to go into, and in the White House and the president's supporters. And I think that there will be a tremendous amount of effort to get some kind of a deal in the Senate. But whether that can be done quickly or not is a very big question.
Cokie, just before we rush on to the Senate, what was your thought about today as a highlight?
Well, at the beginning, as George said, that when the clerk read those articles of impeachment, I felt almost sick to my stomach. It was so somber, and that sense of, you know, it was almost like a death sentence that he was reading out there. And then the debate at the beginning was very somber and very effective, and members were very, very respectful and respecting of the process. Of course, as the day has worn on, they have left the floor and not been there so much, and there are lots of other things buzzing around the floor today. But the debate has been at least started out as a very high-level debate, and Ray LaHood, the congressman from Illinois, has stood in that chair since 10 o'clock this morning.
Thanks very much, Cokie Roberts, George, and Bill Kristol. As we said earlier, and as we didn't think quite would happen, there wasn't an enormous amount of mention during the debate, especially during the latter part of it, about the interference of the debate and the attack on Iraq. But when we come back, an update on the third day of the bombing campaign against Iraq. How well is it working, and how much longer might it go on?
Morning seems so much brighter after a good night's sleep. That's why I love my Tylenol PM. Sometimes I have trouble sleeping. I used to worry about taking something. How would I feel in the morning? And then I tried Tylenol PM. It stops my pain and helps me sleep. So in the morning, I'm rested, refreshed, ready to make the most of my day.
Rest easy. It's Tylenol PM.
The North Star System, performance and technology that set Cadillac apart from every other luxury car in the world. Now, for a limited time during the Cadillac Performance Drive, a 1999 Seville with the North Star System can be yours for just $549 a month and just $14.99 due at lease signing. Seville for just $549 a month, a powerful way to set yourself apart during the Cadillac Performance Drive. See your Cadillac dealer today.
I'm 64. Is there anything I can do to stop bone loss?
Absolutely. Here's proof. In a landmark clinical study, Caltrate actually stopped bone loss in women at risk for osteoporosis, whatever your age.
It's never too late for Caltrate.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
All right. There's one thing everybody in Washington can agree on.
That would be?
There's more heartburn than ever.
And more Republicans.
And more burning and more pressure.
More pain.
Yeah, and it's time someone did more about it, too.
Alka-Seltzer does more, with more medicines than any antacid to speed more relief to your worst heartburn and pain.
Yeah, Alka-Seltzer. This country deserves more.
You sound like a Democrat.
Democrats just promise more. How does this marriage last?
Alka-Seltzer, the more medicine heartburn medicine.
While the debate over impeachment was going on here in Washington, U.S. and British forces were pounding Iraq for a third straight day. The Pentagon says the bombing campaign has done substantial damage. At this point, the military planners know they've hit a lot of things, but they haven't been able to assess much of the damage. ABC's John McCarthy has been keeping track at the Pentagon all day. John.
Peter, it's clear that the airstrikes are now being aimed at targets much broader than just Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction. The number of targets grew from 50 the first night to 75 as the air campaign intensified. Gun camera video provided by the Pentagon shows laser-guided bombs ripping into what the U.S. says is Iraq's communication system, tearing up buried telephone lines, destroying a radio relay site, and an air defense radar.
We haven't destroyed his total capability right now, but we certainly have reduced his assets.
The vast majority of targets have been outside of Baghdad, including a factory that the U.S. claimed was making and assembling missiles. Near the town of Basra, the U.S. hit a radio television transmitter and a refinery said to be used by Saddam Hussein to process oil that is then smuggled out of the country, breaking the UN embargo. For the first time, America's B-1 bomber saw action, as did an air-launched cruise missile that has a 3,000-pound warhead. In an effort to discourage Iraqi troops from moving toward Kuwait, the U.S. showered southern Iraq with leaflets. Joint Chiefs Chairman Hugh Shelton said the message was blunt.
Stay where you are, stay put, do not threaten anyone, and you will not be hit.
Even though tonight is likely to be the last of this bombing campaign, ABC News has learned that the U.S. is more than tripling the number of American commandos in the Gulf, Navy SEALs, Army, and Air Force Special Forces. Officials say these specialized troops could be used to sabotage any attack if Iraqi troops did try to come south into Kuwait. And this is the tricky part, Peter. If these Iraqi forces, in the event of some sort of uprising in the southern part of Iraq, the American commandos would be in the region in force and available to help if the president were to give the green light. Peter?
John, any indication at all how much longer it might go on? Any hints?
Peter, it does appear that tonight will be the last night, but they are holding open the possibility that they could extend it if they look at the targets and decide they need to go one more night.
Okay, thanks very much. John McCarthy at the Pentagon. Saddam Hussein made a television appearance today, though we don't know how many Iraqis saw it. The U.S. did attack some television installations, as you hear. His remarks did, however, make it here. There's a live shot from Baghdad tonight. It was characteristic Saddam Hussein we heard, and ABC's Bill Blakemore joins us again from Baghdad. Bill, how's it been?
Well, Peter, for the third night running here, this pattern of attacks is continuing here over Baghdad. Sometimes we're hearing the incoming cruise missiles as muffled explosions out on the edge of town. And as always, we're seeing the red tracer of anti-aircraft fire shooting into the night sky. Saddam Hussein's first appearance since the attacks began was defiant. He declared, "We will not compromise." He called his attackers agents of Satan. His deputy prime minister held a press conference moments later.
What we are witnessing now is not a military conflict. It's a criminal aggression.
The only damage Iraq is letting journalists see is relatively minor. This was Baghdad's Natural History Museum, for example. But last night's powerful explosions are believed to have decimated several military and intelligence buildings in Baghdad. Incredible as it may seem, only a few blocks from the site of some of these explosions, people were getting married. Many Iraqis seem to believe that for the most part the American missiles are accurate. Most do not believe they're likely to be targets, so they often carry on as normal. And they know no attacks have hit central Baghdad in daylight, so markets, such as this one selling pets today, still have plenty of customers. The first explosions tonight were the sounds of cannon fire, but with no military purpose. They were actually salutes announcing the beginning of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. And Peter, you can imagine how bizarre that was for a few moments given what we've been experiencing here. Of course, many Iraqis, I think, are hoping that the arrival of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan will mean an end to this round of attacks here, but they do listen to international broadcasts on radios here, and so they know that won't necessarily be the case. Peter?
Okay. Thanks very much, Bill Blakemore, for yet another night in Iraq. A question now, or at least it's not too early to ask the question now, but what happens after the bombing? As we've heard from Saddam Hussein today, we know he's well at least, or at least available. Might he actually be stronger when this is over? We'll be back to check.
Has
frequent heartburn been a persistent problem for you? Have you treated it but still suffer on 2 or more days a week? Do you keep getting heartburn even though you've changed your diet? Your heartburn may be due to acid reflux disease. Ask your doctor about Prilosec. 1 capsule daily can provide complete 24-hour heartburn relief because it controls acid for 24 hours. 24 hours. Ask your doctor if Prilosec is right for you. Call to learn more. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Want 24-hour heartburn relief with 1 daily dose? Ask your doctor about the most prescribed acid control medicine in America, Prilosec.
I had questions about investing and nobody would answer my questions. And then one day my friend was telling me about stocks and that she wanted to start a stock group. We go to the meetings, we talk about everything with, children and parenting and politics. And then we talk about which stocks look good. And I come home and say, okay, let's do this with the girls' money. Let's invest in this stock. This looked the best to me. And we learned about it on Schwab.com, right? So you can go to college.
When they said the world didn't need another nose strip, we said we'll make one that gives instant relief of nasal congestion symptoms and is ergonomically contoured for a good fit. Introducing Clear Passage Nose Strips. After all, we're the maker of the Afrin brand, and who knows more about the nose?
For an enjoyable weekend, avoid things like alarm clocks. Instead, grab a big Grand Cinnamon Roll.
What better way to unwind than by enjoying a hot, fresh Grand Cinnamon Roll?
They're not just big, they're grands.
So I get this mail from Progressive saying they have a smart new way to shop for auto insurance.
Progressive, can I help you?
They give you their rates plus the rates of several other companies. I wonder whose rates are going to be lowest.
It looks like you could save over $200 if you went with...
What? You're an insurance company?
Hey, we know how hard it is to shop for auto insurance. A lot of times we're the lowest. Sometimes we're not.
That's not what I expected from an insurance company. And then he said, well, maybe you should.
Call 1-800-AUTO-PRO or your authorized independent agent.
The reaction to these attacks against Iraq, like the attacks themselves, will come in several waves. We've seen the first blush of anger or support, a very supportive Britain, for example, a very sharp reaction from the Russians, who say that the U.S. is flagrantly violating international law. The big question is, when the bombing ends, who will have benefited the most, the United States or Saddam Hussein? For one cut at that, here's ABC's Sheila McVicker.
People who have tried to keep track of Saddam Hussein's weapons, tried to overthrow him, or at least help the Iraqi people, all have serious questions about the bombing campaign. Tim Trevan is a former member of UNSCOM, the UN Weapons Inspection Program.
There is a very real probability that Saddam will simply ride out this wave of attacks and come to the conclusion, well, he's got rid of UNSCOM, why should he let them back in again?
The U.S. will insist that sanctions stay in place, but Iraq is increasingly likely to ignore them, relying on sanctions busting and smuggling.
They believe it's better to go it alone. Let's forget the United Nations. Let's look after ourselves. Let's retain our dignity and self-esteem. Let's work with our neighbors.
Some of those neighbors may now be more willing to help Iraq get around the sanctions. Even some of Baghdad's enemies, Iran and Syria, have condemned what American bombs are doing to Iraq.
It's going exactly the wrong way. We're continuing to hurt the Iraqi people more, and we're enhancing the government and the individual president himself even more.
American policy, of course, is to achieve exactly the opposite. President Clinton has promised to give more money to Iraqis opposed to Saddam Hussein, but the leaders of those groups say this bombing will not help because it is not part of a coherent long-term policy.
Strikes against Iraq in the absence of a comprehensive plan to remove Saddam would be counterproductive, and we have not seen any plan yet.
This isn't going to solve anything. It's not going to get rid of Saddam. It's not going to get rid of his weapons. It's another step in a long, drawn-out game.
A game in which Saddam Hussein may already have calculated the impact of these attacks and their aftermath, and he may have a clearer idea of where he is going than the U.S. administration. Sheila McVicker, ABC News, London.
We have time for just a little other news today. For one thing, an apology demanded. There was a violent encounter between North and South Korea. South Koreans caught and sank a North Korean submarine which had penetrated South Korean waters. And today the South is demanding an apology for the incursion. The balloonists Steve Fossett and Richard Branson are in the air again together. They've taken off from Morocco and they'll try to fly around the world non-stop. Their route, incidentally, will take them just north of Iraq. In Iceland today, quite a display when a volcano erupted under Europe's biggest glacier. Iceland is one of the most active volcanic areas in the world. The heat melted some ice, as you can see, but in Iceland, there is always more. We'll be back to revisit the major story in just a moment.
Come on, let's look.
Looking for
I had no idea.
more cough relief? Vicks 44 has a variety of 8-hour formulas, so whatever kind of cough you have,
The things you learn.
you get more with Vicks 44.
I can eat corn on the cob, and I can eat the apples, as long as I've got Super Polygrip on these dentures. I know that it works. I mean, it holds my teeth in place. Using the Super Polygrip, I can continue auctioneering. Bid 35, now bid 40, now 5, 45, now bid.
There are different kinds of smart. There's fashion smart. There's book smart. But if you want to be street smart, get yourself a Cavalier during the Chevy Make Your Money Count year-end event. AAA calls Cavalier a top car, Money Magazine a best buy, and with low 0.9% APR financing or big cash back, you'll call Cavalier the smart choice. You'll find great deals on other Chevy cars and trucks too. Hey, the more you know, the better Cavalier looks at your Chevy dealers Make Your Money Count year-end event. It's the season for you.
Long live the Queen!
2 thumbs up for Elizabeth. It's simply magnificent.
May I join you, my lady?
If it please you, sir.
Nominated for 3 Golden Globe Awards.
You must not fear to strike.
Best Actress, Kate Blanchett.
Do not presume to know the secrets of my heart.
Best Director, Shekhar Kapoor.
You are in the greatest danger.
And Best Picture of the Year,
I am my father's daughter. I am not afraid of anything.
Elizabeth, rated R. Now playing everywhere.
Tonight, an ABC News special. The House debates impeachment of the president while U.S. forces strike in Iraq. 2 major stories come together with the president in the middle. Peter Jennings, A Presidency at the Crossroads. Tonight at 10, 9 Central.
Fred Couples, Hal Irwin, Sari Punk. It's Tour versus Tour versus Tour. The Wendy's 3-Tour Challenge, Saturday at 1:30 on ABC.
Well, several people have used the word surreal today. It has been quite an extraordinary day here in Washington, not to mention what it must have been like in parts of Iraq. The impeachment debate continues in the House of Representatives. At this moment, they will debate, have their say well into the evening, and then tomorrow morning they will gather again, hear the gavel bang, and then actually have a little more debate, and then, in all likelihood, impeach the President of the United States, William Jefferson Clinton. On the other side of the world, east in the Middle East, Saddam Hussein was on television today, proud and defiant, saying the United States didn't have the guts to come down and fight it out. But his country's suffering some damage, no question at the moment. A 3rd wave of attacks launched today, up the number of targets. The Pentagon is convinced that they're doing serious damage. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night from Washington.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.
Celebrate the holidays
We can share the bed, only if we go head to toe.
with the guy who's naughty and nice.
All the interlocking parts are still aligned.
Cupid. ABC Saturday.
Now, News 2 at 6. First, fast, accurate.
The president is our flag bearer. He stands out in front of our people, and the flag is falling.
We should not be debating and considering and talking about removing our commander-in-chief.
A battle of words in Washington, and the battle in Iraq enters its 3rd night. 2 remarkable events collide on one day. Good evening, everyone. Few would have ever imagined such a day. For only the 2nd time in U.S. history, the U.S. House is debating the impeachment of the President of the United States. It continues at this moment